one of the things that I tell my clients about that sense of urgency is the longer you wait, the longer you procrastinate about doing the things you want to do, leaves more space open for self-doubt to creep in and continue feeding you those lies about how you can't do it, how you'll never do it, how you're too old to do it, you don't know enough to do it. So if you take action right now, that doesn't give self-doubt much time to get in there and start trying to pull you back to the comfort cave. So taking action before you're ready is so, so important.
Hello, I'm Debbie Shadid, the host of the Life Coach Business Building Podcast. If you are ready to have more clients in your life coach business, then you're in the right spot. Each week, I'm going to teach you super simple strategies to grow your business without feeling overwhelmed and without spending money on paid ads. Now, if that sounds interesting, stick around and let's get started. Welcome to the Life Coach Business Building Podcast. I'm so excited to have you guys here today. I have another client, Jen Laffin, here with us today. We're going to talk about her business, about what brought her to coaching. We're also going to talk about her work inside of the Business Building Boutique. If you're interested in finding out more about that, we'll share all the details. Jen is a coach who helps high-achieving women who have been putting themselves last, really. They haven't made themselves a priority. Everybody else is on their to-do list except for them. And they're at a point where they're thinking like, something's got to change here. So Jen, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for having me, Debbie. I am Jen Laffin. I am a personal coach for high-achieving women who struggle with self-doubt, which is very stressful for many high-achieving women. And I know exactly what that feels like because this is something that I struggled with myself at one time.
So this is a woman who is probably successful in many areas in her life, and she just barrels through. And are you saying this self-doubt is kind of like silently whispering to them?
Oh, constantly.
Mm-hmm.
It constantly is whispering to me. Even now that I'm a coach, I still struggle with self-doubt on a regular basis. The problem is that when we experience it, self-doubt, and we think that it means we're doing something wrong, actually, it usually means we're doing something right.
Oh my gosh, that's so interesting. All right. So before we get into all of that stuff, tell me what brought you to coaching.
Sure. Well, I am a former teacher. I taught fourth and fifth grade for about 9 years. I left the classroom in 2017 and I started a business called Teach Right. I help teachers grow as writers so their students can too. And during the process of doing that work with the teacher writers, I really started to tune into how important mindset is and how much self-doubt plays into the writing process. So I was naturally drawn to coaching because coaching put a spotlight on that self-doubt for me. And the things that I learned, I was like, whoa, this is really, really, really interesting, really helpful. I started teaching my teacher writers all about imposter syndrome, perfectionism, procrastination, all of those things that play into the writing, because those are things they needed to teach their students as well. That struggle is a part of the writing process. Now I work with high-achieving women and help them realize too that just because you're feeling some discomfort as you start paying attention to yourself and doing these things for yourself, it doesn't mean something's gone wrong. It means you're headed in the right direction.
Oh my gosh, that's very interesting that you had teachers that you were teaching, and you're saying that fourth and fifth graders, well, you had fourth and fifth graders, I guess.
I did.
You're saying that kids have imposter syndrome and have that same kind of self-doubt too.
Yeah, I think every writer has that. We all think we're terrible writers. We all have that voice of self-doubt in the back of our head telling us, you're a terrible writer. No one's going to want to read what you write. And so by helping teachers recognize that, they're able to normalize that struggle for their students.
What a gift to give that you were able to do with those guys, because I do think, on a side note, that's the beautiful thing about life coaching is if you have not worked with a life coach, when you get coached, it changes you, but it changes everybody else around you.
Yes, 100%.
So beautiful. All right. So let's talk about this specific woman that you are coaching, kind of the transformation that she's looking for and kind of what that looks like when they work with you.
So the high achieving women that I work with are very ambitious. They're very driven. They're very goal oriented. They're very other focused. They're all about taking care of everybody else's problems, everybody else's goals. And in the meantime, they're forgetting about themselves. They're forgetting about the things they want, the goals that they want to achieve for themselves. And so part of the work that I do is getting them to let go a little bit of that validation they receive from other people when they are driven to do for others. They get a lot of their self-worth from that. They get a lot of their value from that. I want to help them see that what they want matters too, and that there is a lot of value and worth in that as well, which is letting go of that concept is very, very difficult for the women that I work with.
Okay, what's coming up for me is that I discovered this year, as an overachieving, hardworking woman with my own business, there was a lot of worth that came from my work. So a lot of my extra hours of work were because of the worth that I got from my work. So I think that's what you're speaking to.
Yes. Absolutely.
So I suspect the problem is, though, that a woman that you're talking about doesn't actually know what she does want to do for herself with her time.
Because she knows no other way.
Mm-hmm.
She only knows being very goal driven, being, just being very successful. And it's a busyness. There's a lot of overwork and workaholism in this group that I work with, because these are the women that you're going to find working as many hours a day as they can, because they can't let themselves not work, and they can't let themselves off of their track. Now, through coaching, however, they can change that, and they can see how having those healthy boundaries between work and life matter and are important, not just for their own mental health, but for, like you talked before, like it's a total trickle down effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just helping them see like there is another way, and it can be a lot of fun.
So my listeners know I'm 58 years old, because I talk about that a lot, because you can do anything at any age. But I'm going to guess that your client might not be 58, but maybe they don't have small children at home. They have more like grown children at home, and they're at a point in their life where they're like, I don't think I want to do this forever.
Right.
At some point, I need to do something for me. Is that your person?
Yes, absolutely. I also have some clients who have never even been married, who've never had a family, because they've been on the career track since they got out of college. And they definitely don't know another way, because this is like the dream that they've had growing up, to be the president of some company or to be, in charge of something big. And they've been so like hyper focused on getting themselves there that everything else has gone to the wayside. So they get to be in their 30s, and all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute, there's got to be more than this. And that is a huge aha moment for them, to be able to realize like, you can still have that ambition and that drive, and you can have a life. You can have those dreams that you want. What you want matters. And helping them learn that is such a gift for me, to be able to help these women see that and realize that in their lives.
Oh my gosh, how nice for a woman at that age to see that they could develop something else, and that it's not all about their career. What a gift you're giving them, honestly.
Well, thank you. But it's also too, like you said, I have clients in their 60s who are now retired, and they're like, what now? Like, now it's my time, but I don't even know what that means, because I spent my whole life taking care of everybody else. What do I want? So I help them figure that out, and then helping them make that identity shift from other focused to me focused. And, that is also like an incredible, incredible gift.
Yeah, there's a lot of discomfort with change. I mean, that's the whole thing, is that to take your attention off of everybody else and put your attention on yourself and on what you want, I'm sure for your clients creates a lot of discomfort. So tell me about the coaching that you do with your clients. You want to talk about private coaching, group coaching? Tell us about what you do.
Well, I actually do both private and group coaching. I have a group called Project You, which is a group coaching workshop where I basically help the women in the workshop. We work together as a group. I help them choose a project they want to work on for themselves and help them bring that project to life. And the fun part of that is in the process of going from beginning to end in Project U is in the middle is where we get all of that self-doubt. We get that shiny new thing. We get procrastination coming in, all that self-doubt start crowding in. And I am right there with them to coach them through it, to kind of give them a hint of what is going to be coming so that when they experience it, they're not like, holy cow, I'm doing something wrong. What is happening here? I think I need to quit. So we get them from start to finish over the course of Project U. I also do one-to-one personal coaching with basically the same concept. Women come to me because they are ready to put themselves at the top of their to-do list. They're ready to start creating some magic for themselves in their life. They're like so ingrained with those beliefs of self-doubt that they don't see another way, but they want for there to be another way.
Yeah, I want to highlight something that you said, which is that when you start to work on something, whether it would be a book or a completion of some project at home or some new study or something new that you're doing, we know from life coaching, there is always that point that comes where you sort of come up with another better idea of what you should do instead of that idea. So you don't ever finish anything. I mean, I don't want to say that's everybody, but that's pretty common, right?
Very, very common. I talk a lot about the concept of the comfort cave and how our primal brains, that old part of our brain that hasn't evolved yet, that controls our thinking and our feeling, how our primal brain does not want us to leave that comfort cave. Okay. It'll do anything it can to keep us there because it wants to keep us safe. It wants to keep us alive. And it wants to keep us lazy. So anytime we try to do something that brings us out of that comfort cave, it's going to send us thoughts of imposter syndrome, perfectionism, comparison, all of these things that we were never expecting because we didn't know to look for them. So when we experience them, we think again, something's wrong, danger, danger, danger. Back I go to my comfort cave. One of those ways that the primal brain also works is it will send us like, oh, hey, you're going in this direction, but look, there's a shiny new thing over here. Why don't you go and explore that now? When really what it's trying to do is it's just trying to keep you stuck in confusion so that you never leave your comfort cave.
You know, I tell you, you can't figure these things out unless you have a coach helping you.
Absolutely.
You really can't. You can't see. I mean, I don't want to say all the time, but you don't know. I know from the coaching that I receive, sometimes you don't even know what you've done until somebody else points it out to you, how you've put like a roadblock in your progress and they point it out to you. And it's like, oh, isn't that interesting? That is the beauty of having somebody like you take them through an entire project, is that you see what they can't see.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also realizing, like teaching them the difference between a thought and a fact. So when your primal brain is giving you those thoughts of like, you're not good enough, you're too old, this will never happen, like helping them understand that those are just thoughts. They're not facts. You can change those. If they're not benefiting you, here's why they're happening. If you don't like the result they're getting you, here's how you can change it. Okay. And so many women, and I know this was one of the reasons why I went into coaching myself, because this was a huge transformation for me to realize my thoughts are not necessarily facts. And so when I'm experiencing that imposter syndrome, it's not real. Like just because it feels true doesn't mean it is true. And that's so key. Going off of that a little bit, I will say, like, even as a coach, I struggle with this all the time, where I still get my primal brain wanting me to stay in my comfort cave. Mm-hmm. And last week I was having a really, really tough time getting myself out of confusion of what to do next. So what did I do? I made my appointment with you, and you were able to get me unstuck. That is amazing.
That's the power of coaching. Yeah. Because you guys know, if you're listening and you've been working on something, there's almost sometimes two conversations going on in your brain at one time. You're saying one thing, and back there you hear this other thing saying like, you're not doing it right. This is never going to work. You're
Yeah.
right in the middle of your sentence. So it's so helpful to have somebody else shine light on that so that you can get to the other side of it. So that
So
is
important.
fantastic. So what are the most common things that you want to help women with, or the most common things that they come to you and they say, I want to accomplish this? Can you give me, recent clients that you've coached, 2 or 3 things that you've helped people accomplish?
Sure. I have one client who's in her 60s and she has been writing poetry all her life, but she's never been able to own that title. I'm a writer, like I have a writing talent. And this year, she's one of my Project U participants. She is putting together a collection of her poetry and she's going to give it to her family. She's going to publish it into a book and give it to her family for Christmas. And this is such a huge thing for her. And she said to me last week, I have never, ever been able to do this work until I started this workshop. She says, I am in my 60s and I never thought I'd be able to do this. And I'm so excited to be able to bring this to my family and leave this legacy for them. And that's just like, oh my gosh.
What a beautiful gift. Yeah.
Totally. Another client I have has recently retired and she's interested in starting a new business. However, she's kind of dealing with some imposter syndrome. She left a very prestigious career. And so she's kind of like in this identity crisis where she doesn't know how to move forward out of who she was. And let me tell you, I can definitely relate to what she's going through because as a former teacher, it took me a long time to stop having that teacher mentality or teacher identity and be able to move into something new. So drawing on my own experience, I'm able to offer insights to her that she can't necessarily see on her own so that she can move on to the next stage of her life.
So we are recording this right now in October of 2022. So if you are listening about this time, we're going to be approaching the end of the year. And I think a lot of people think at this point, next year and they're thinking about like, I'm going to start something next year. Like I'm going to get through the holidays is the story they're telling themselves. And then I'll start whatever it is. So let's talk about what somebody could accomplish in private personalized coaching with you between now and the end of the year.
Absolutely. Well, they can get serious about making these changes in their life and committing to it now. We all know how New Year's resolutions work.
Right.
We're all like, oh yes, I'm going to lose 100 pounds and I'm going to, climb a mountain and do all of these different things. And then the middle of January comes around and it's like, wait, what was I going to do? Making that commitment right now. One of the things that I tell my clients about that sense of urgency is the longer you wait, the longer you procrastinate about doing the things you want to do, leaves more space open for self-doubt to creep in and continue feeding you those lies about how you can't do it, how you'll never do it, how you're too old to do it, you don't know enough to do it. So if you take action right now, that doesn't give self-doubt much time to get in there and start trying to pull you back to the comfort cave. So taking action before you're ready is so important. So clients coming to me at this time of the year, what I tell them is they will be able to begin the year and they won't need to make resolutions because they will have already started the work that they want to do. And in some cases, even finished the work they wanted to do.
Oh my gosh, that is fantastic. I also want to talk just a minute about investing in yourself. So I'll give my 2 cents and you can chime in. I think as women, it's pretty common that we can very easily spend money on somebody else. I'm a new grandmother, so I have a little baby Lucy that's only 4 months, and I wouldn't think twice about spending money on her. Over the years with my daughter, I wouldn't have thought anything about trying, even when I didn't have the money. And I wanted to send her to camp, or I wanted to send her to something that I had said to myself was important for her future, was important for her to experience. I would find the money. I would get a credit card, or I would do some extra work, or I would just give up something else to invest in her. And I think that that is a part that women, aren't really great at doing, is investing with themselves.
Yes.
As we approach the holidays, I know what the thinking is that it's like, well, Christmas is coming. I'm going to be spending a bunch of money on all the things. And I just want to challenge anybody that's listening. If you have just the tiniest inkling or a little itch to do something new, or what Jen does is resonating with you, make the investment in yourself financially, give the gift to yourself that you would in one split second do for somebody else. So that's me in my soapbox. Do you want to add to that, Jen?
Well, I say, we spend thousands of dollars on a vacation that we go and then it's over with. And yes, we have the memories, but there's really no trickle down effect from that. What you learn in coaching from spending that same money on yourself, that is going to just trickle over into all areas of your life. And you're going to multiply your investment very easily. It changes the way you think. It helps you feel so much better to gain some clarity. And it also affects the people in your life too. Like my own children have even said to me, like, Mom, I notice you're different. And they notice the way I talk to them is different. And the way that I help them with their issues is different. Or sometimes not help them with their issues when it's something that they want, a problem they want me to solve for them. So it's not just an investment in yourself. It truly is an investment in your whole entire life. So yeah, I will always have a coach.
Yeah, me too. All right. I want to tease on something Jen is working on that she brought to my attention, and that is Enneagrams. Jen is an Enneagram 3. We won't go into all the details of that, but if you're listening and that is you, you better tune in. She talked to me about that, and I am also an Enneagram 3. It's no wonder we love each other so much. But if you are an Enneagram 3 and you have your ears perked up right now, you should be going and subscribing and following anything that Jen is doing, because she's going to have something in store for you. The work that she does is for anyone, but if you're an Enneagram 3, raise your hand. It's for you too. So before I switch on to talking about the work that you've done with me in the Business Building Boutique, is there anything else you want to say about your coaching, about the women you help, about the transformations you provide, about your passion, your mission, any of it?
To me, coaching has been the work that I know I was put on this earth to do. And I've had a lot of jobs in my day. And as I look back, I can see how important each of those were because they led me to where I am today. And to be able to help women who are so just driven towards achievement, very success conscious, to be able to help them not only experience that feeling of excitement from being able to help other people, but realizing that they can have the same thing for themselves is just such a blessing to be able to do this work. I love it. It's why I get out of bed every day at an ungodly hour in the morning. So.
Yeah. Well, that is awesome. So if you guys are interested in talking to Jen, make sure you schedule a consultation call with her. Do not wait until next week. Do it today.
Or next year.
Let's start now. Or next year. Put yourself as a priority and change your life, and you'll change anybody else really that you encounter. So let's talk about the Business Building Boutique and your work with me. Yes. So grateful to have the opportunity to work with you. What brought you and I together? How did that happen?
I think the universe brought us together. It was destiny. Kim Severson is a friend of mine. We are in an accountability group together. And one day she came to the group and she said, I just hired a new coach and she's amazing. And I had just ended a relationship with a coach and was looking for someone new. And I'm like, tell me more. And everything she told me, I'm like, all right, where do I find her? I need to talk to Debbie. And we met and had a consultation, and I knew right then and there that you were the coach for me. And I'm like, let's do it. And I don't know if you remember, but when we first started working together, I'm like, we need to make some magic. And I feel like since I've been working with you, there's been a lot of magic made. So
I agree. So just so everybody's clear, I work with clients in all stages of business, in all niches. They're all coaches that are building businesses, and they want to know, what do I do and how do I do it? And really, it's all about how do I find the people and get to the people. But Jen already was a successful business person. She told you about Teach Right. So she already had a successful business. She also, by the way, already had coaching clients that she's talking about right now. So she wasn't starting when she came to me. You were already on the path. You came to me. What were you looking for at that point?
I was looking for someone who could help me move forward because I was doing a lot of spinning and confusion. I don't know what to do. I was throwing stuff at the wall, hoping that it stuck, and it didn't. And then I would spend an awful long time recovering. I just knew that I had this mission to help these women. And I was frustrated because I'm like, I was just looking for a plan. And I was also looking for accountability because when that self-doubt kicks in, it's very easy to be able to say like, well, no one's watching me, so it's okay if I just sit and spin for a little while longer. That was one of the things. Well, two of the things I got from you. One is I loved your roadmap that we had access to when we started. I went through that as a high achieving woman would in order and did all of the things. Mm-hmm. And to be able to also have that accountability where you're checking in with me every week. Jen, where are you at? What are you doing? What do you need from me? Knowing that you're watching has been just a real game changer for me.
Yeah, I always say that if you're not making the mortgage payment, and a lot of the clients that I work with, they're contributing to their household, but I guess the better way of saying it is it's like, it's not going to make or break their life if they make money in their business. That's why you need that little extra accountability, because if it's not like I have to pay the light bill or the lights are going to get shut off, it's very easy to have that primitive brain, I call it your bratty brain, say to you like, just write that email tomorrow. Right. Don't worry about it. So I do think that having the accountability of like, wait, what did you do? And are you going to do it or not? Let's go is helpful when it's not urgent that you have to create this revenue in your business today.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And to me, like every week that went by that I wasn't making progress was a week I was never going to get back. And I just got to the point where I have people to help. I need to get this. I need to get my act together. I need to stop. I call it spinning and confusion. Actually, one of my clients named it that. She's like, I've been spinning and confusion. And it's really like your brain just keeps you like not ever feeling like you can come up with an answer. And that changed when I started working with you. So thank you.
Yeah. What expectations did you have when you came in? And do you feel like your expectations are being met?
Absolutely.
Nothing like putting you on the spot there.
Yeah. Not a problem, because I am a huge fan of coaching with you. I'm a huge fan of the business building boutique, the roadmaps you use, because I had already had a business and knew a lot of the marketing and the website creation and how to do emails. Like I had all of that experience from Teach Right and from my previous time coaching. I was able to go into a better or business building boutique 2.0, where you kind of took it to the next level with those of us who were ready to go, teaching us some higher level skills and strategies and concepts. I think that like taking on that identity of like, oh, I'm somebody who's doing it now. Like I really was somebody who was doing it because I am.
Yeah. So I don't want you to mention any other business coaches, but you said you had just wrapped up working with a business coach. In the coaching that you've had before, is there a comparison that you could make between any style of business coaching that you've had before compared to the coaching we do?
I think that one of the things I appreciated about you was the strategy, the roadmap, I think was a really big selling point for me, because it showed me like, if I do all of these things, this is where I'm going to get to. And not to say we don't talk about mindset and we don't talk about those other things, but knowing like to build a business, you have to do these things. And you have to do them to get to where you want to go. And when I was going through the roadmap, I'm like, oh, I skipped this step before. Maybe this is one of the reasons why it wasn't all clicking. So yeah, that roadmap to me was like, oh my gosh, this is totally for me.
Yeah. And for those of you guys who are listening, I do have 2 levels of the business building boutique, but each one has its own roadmap. And it's really something that I help you create in your own business too, of what is the process of getting a client from where they are to where the result that you want them to have. And the steps, I've thought through the steps and the pieces, and they basically are blocks that build on top of each other. And even when we work together, if you skip one of those steps, which is totally okay, everybody has free will, but if you skip one of those steps, a lot of times it's like, wait, you need to go back and do that part. because that could be one of the missing pieces. So is there anything else you want to share? I want to say to you, you are an incredible client for me to have. I want more Jens to be my clients. Super fun to work with people who are on the ball, who are coming, who are getting the work done. I get to review the work that my clients do, and I like it when they're doing it. I'm a doer, and I like to work with doers. So it's an Enneagram 3 thing.
It is.
So it works out good. But yeah, I want people who really are saying, I really do want to do it. And yes, we all have those roadblocks that come up, but it's much easier for me to say, hey, just do the thing. You'll get inspired next week. Right now, just do this next thing and we'll get past this so that next week you can get on to the next piece. But is there anything else you want to share about our work together before we talk about all the amazing freebies that you have and how people can be in touch with you?
Honestly, I feel like hiring you was just a complete game changer for me. And if anyone is out there wanting to start a coaching business and you are experiencing the self-doubt that comes with being a new entrepreneur because you don't know anything about starting a business, come talk to Debbie, because she will get you headed in the right direction with more support than you could possibly ever imagine. There are people out there who need your help. And if you're waiting because you're not sure about investing in yourself, you're not sure about spending the time, spending the money, stop and call Debbie.
Yeah, thank you. I know I want to acknowledge that most of the people that come to me have already done, 2 or 3 things. And I feel for you. It's hard to continue to invest. But the truth is, that's not presented to you when you start a business. You have to learn how to be in business. And pretty much from the time you start your business, you might need a personal coach for whatever personally you have going on and to up level that area of your life. But you really need somebody guiding your business because marketing is changing all the time. The business model and the approach to marketing is continuing to evolve. And so just for you guys who think hiring a business coach is one and done, it's not. You really have to have a business coach at your disposal all the time. So again, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate so much that you chose to invest in me and to work with me. Let's talk about real quick your workshops. I'm going to have Jen describe these, but she has 13 trainings that you guys can have access to, not all at one time, but 13 different trainings that will really create transformation for you that are a gift that you can access through Jen. Do you want to talk about that?
Absolutely. So I have put together 13 trainings designed specifically for the high achieving woman, talking about all of those like light bulb moments that I experienced on my journey towards, creating what I'm creating now. We talk about self-doubt. We talk about creating powerful thoughts. One of my favorite trainings is about getting through the discomfort of doing hard things. And yeah, I would love to be able to share those with anyone who would like them.
All right. So I will leave her link in the show notes. Make sure that if you have any questions about working with Jen, she does have a couple of spots open for private coaching, limited time. We all have tight schedules. So if you are interested in talking to her, do that now. Get a consultation on the books with her. Stay in touch with what she's doing. Follow her on Instagram, all the things. So
yes.
Thank you so much for being my client. And thank you for the work that you do in Project You and for the women that you support. I appreciate it so very much.
And I appreciate you. Thank you, Debbie.
All right, y'all have an amazing week. Until next time. Bye-bye. Okay, ladies, that is it for today. Before we go, I want to invite you to head over to debbieshadid.com. I have this incredible Canva training specifically designed for life coaches where I'm going to teach you how to use Canva to create beautiful graphics to market your life coaching business. All right, have an amazing week. I'll talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.